Gramps did some Black Friday shopping at ShopKarls.com for the first time. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the channel. If you're brand new to fishing or just looking for some tips, tricks, reviews, how-tos, you've come to the right spot. It's absolutely free to click that subscribe button. Bang that little bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. I ordered this in 2020. Here it is, 2021. Took weeks to arrive, but finally showed up. Obviously, no fault, ShopKarls.com. They processed and shipped immediately. The post office, during Christmas and the holidays, with the global pandemic, guess what? We got a box. During the off season, when all the sales happen, is when we resupply and get ready for spring. But all this just isn't for me. One of the things I do as I grow this channel is a lot of giveaways, both online and in person, right here in the Midwest. Not only do I want to help our youth to learn how to fish, I want to also teach those parents who may have gone fishing with their parents when they were younger, but don't really remember a lot about it because they want to take their kids out. I also am a firm believer in veteran recreational therapy. I think bass fishing and fishing in general is great therapy for those who've struggled and are looking for something, well, to do either themselves, to enjoy nature, or to get with other friends and go out and enjoy as well. So from young to old, from city to rural, doesn't matter to me. Alright, enough chit chat. Let's see what I got. First off is a kit from the Googan squad. But that is for a review unto itself. Oh wait, another kit from the Googan squad. That too is for a review by itself. Now, one of the things that kind of got me back into even thinking about bass fishing again was sitting around on YouTube one day and run across the channels of Lunkers TV, John B, Lake Fork guy. Those guys, I mean, especially John B, just produce some amazing movie-like bass fishing videos. But I also ran into Creek Fishing Adventures, Richard Gene the Fishing Machine, loved all that stuff. But again, for me, it was about trying out a lot of new baits, so I did a review on Lunkers' signature bundle, which I'll post up here, and it gave me a good mix of the Googan baits that I really like. Now, one of the other things I've noticed in my absence was the up-and-comings, if you will, of the mystery tackle box, the monster bass, the lucky boxes, and all those things. Those are all interesting, and I think a good concept to get, anglers to try out new things. But I'm more of a, I want to know what I'm buying kind of guy. So, I mean, that's just my personal preference. I think those boxes are great to introduce young or new anglers into various different types of baits. And one of the things I noticed about like ShopKarls is they always give you a little notebook. And it explains how each bait is to be used. And that's one of the things I've noticed too is ShopKarls is like the prime, if you will, of fishing stuff. You pay a little fee, but you get free shipping, and the discounts are huge. And so this is the first time I've ever made big orders off of ShopKarls because the savings are just insane. I mean, it's like, how could you not? I mean, look at this box. So that being said, I have become a subscriber and a fan of ShopKarls.com. For no more than they charge to be a member. If you buy a lot of stuff throughout the year, you'll save a lot of money being able to buy tackle in bulk, because what I want to do is to be able to build tackle kits to give away to young anglers, to new anglers, to people who actually come to this channel and who might want to learn how to fish and get some free stuff. I'm trading your view for tackle that I purchase. Sounds like a win-win to me. So all that being said, let's dive in and see what I got. All right, first thing out of the box is a little juicy jig.
Okay guys, so this first lure that we're taking a look at here is the Googan Little Juicy Jig. And this is a collaboration with Catch Co. It's basically a downsized version of that original regular sized Juicy Jig that was previously released. And so what you're left with here is a smaller, much more compact finesse style jig. Now the skirt that comes on this jig is designed a little bit differently. It's a silicone skirt like you get on the other jigs, but it's built to attract finicky, pressured bass. Now one of the differences that kind of sets this skirt apart is the flaring silicone ring around the head. And really it acts like a collar of these whiskers around the head of this jig, and they flutter both on the fall and when this thing is sitting still on the bottom with minimal current. Now another feature on this jig that you find on all the other Googan Squad jigs is this U-shaped weed guard. Now, of course, that U-shaped weed guard is going to do its job and it's going to help prevent snags and stuff like that. But moreover, what it's going to do is when a bass bites down on this jig, it's going to bend a whole lot easier, which is not going to impede your hook set as much. So you're going to get a higher hookup ratio. And then what you've got to round this whole package out is you've got this really nice, sturdy, sharp hook. And that should give you great penetration and a nice solid hook set.
One of the things I really like this for is for fishing on light line, especially in really cold weather. Now, if you throw a bandito bug on a jig like this, man, that thing will come through covering wood really nice, because the width of a bandito bug will help keep it flat as you pull it through limbs and whatnot. But I'm really a fan. My favorite jigs are the lightest jig that I can throw. Now, next up is a crack and crawl, which is your crawl trailer. Great for throwing on jigs or for Texas rigging. This was in the, I think, summer crawl color. These are great for clear water presentations. Now, one of the things I really love about ShopKarls.com is if you go to the section about each of the baits, it literally tells you what the bait is good for and what gear they recommend. So literally for here on the Googan Baits Crack and Crawl page, says Crack and Crawl is perfect option for flipping, pitching, or adding to the back of a jig trailer. It's designed with patented kicking claws that displace water with ease while calling in big fish. And that's no joke. The little flaps that are on the end of these really give off that great vibration, but that movement is what draws the bass's attention. But here's something I really like, and this is great for newer, younger anglers who are still trying to catch up on a lot of this stuff. It tells you a good reel. So for this one, it's 6:1 to 1, 7:5 to 1 gear ratio. And then it recommends the rod, either 6.6, 2.67, medium to heavy power, fast to extra fast action. So you can actually look at your different rods and your different reels, if you have some already, and pair them together to know how to throw them on these baits. And then it says 14 to 20 pound fluorocarbon line or 30 to 50 braided line, which is standard. But if you're a new angler, you may not know about these combinations. So here's another crack and crawl. This one's in the Okeechobee crawl. It's more of a blue on one side and natural color on the other. Next up is a 5-inch lunker log. This one's in a baby bass color. If you're new to fishing, this is called the stick bait. Gary Yamamoto invented one called the Senko, which is one of the most popular bass soft plastics ever sold in history. And this is an imitation of that. It's just a stick bait. But in future videos, we'll show how we rig all these different baits up and how we use them. But if you're watching this video, you probably know about most of this stuff, so we'll just keep moving on. Another little juicy finesse jig, same Okeechobee crawl. Now here's a bigger jig. This one's 1/4 ounce, and this is the Juicy casting jig. And the reason why I got this jig is because of the way the head is shaped. This one's a little different than all of them, but this head shape is perfect if you're one who likes to skip jigs. You pair it up with a bandito bug or a crack and crawl, the shape of this head is very conducive to the angle of hitting that water and skipping the jigs. Now, why is that important to me? If you go up here and watch this video about the new Lew's skipping and pitching reel, you'll understand why I love it. I really love the technique of skipping jigs under docks, under laydowns, under overhanging tree branches. It's a little different to do it from a kayak than it is a bass boat, but it can be done, and you can see that if you watch my video up here on that reel where I demonstrate how it's done. And I'm actually working on finding a rod to pair that reel up with to perfect this technique. But this is one of the jigs that I got specifically to be able to do that. Let's see, another little juicy finesse jig. I got quite a few of the same things, just in different colors and different sizes. So I think all of my finesse jigs are all 3/16 ounce, and all of my skipping jigs are all 1/4 ounce. I like smaller jigs because I want that jig to fall at a slow rate with that crack and crawl behind it. Now I do have some gridiron jigs, which I have for heavier presentations and in a lot deeper water. Here in Indiana, we can be fishing anything from a shallow creek to a lake that's 50, 60, 70 feet deep in places. And I think I hit all of those different kind of scenarios just this year alone. So here's another juicy casting jig. This one's in a natural color, green pumpkin. So the black and blue is good for really stained water. The green pumpkin kind of colors are great for clear water presentations. Here's another one in the Okeechobee crawl, kind of in between the black and blue. Up next we have, this is something new and different. The funny thing is we actually used to make these ourselves, even with 10 and 7-inch worms. This is the Rattling Chunk. This one is in the black and blue flake, which means it's better for stained or dirtier water, but they've actually added a little rattle tube in that. We used to buy those things by the 100 because back when my brother and I were fishing tournaments all the time, we would pretty much any soft plastic we had, we would put a little rattling tube in each of our plastic baits just to give it a little clicking noise, anything that draws the attention of a bass. I don't know of many other manufacturers that actually do this out of the box and in the package, and this Rattling Chunk will be one that I use as a trailer on the back of either of those finesse jigs. Alright, this is another Okeechobee Crawl 1/4 ounce juicy jig, another 1/4 ounce natural color juicy jig. Again, Black Friday sales or any holiday sales that bait companies have, be sure to take advantage of them. Here's another natural color 1/4 ounce. I throw a lot of jigs. My two favorite things in life to throw are jigs and bladed jigs. Alright, here's the Rattling Chunk in a natural color, that nice green pumpkin look. I will normally take the tips of those and dip it in a yellow chartreuse. We got some Okeechobee Crawl. Now one thing I really love about the Okeechobee Crawl, one of the things that Googan Baits does, is if you're moving around the water and the water clarity changes, say you're in a creek or you're in a lake that's being fed by a creek or a stream or something, the water might change a little at a time. So with this you can take the bait off and flip it around the other way and either put the dark blue side down or the natural side down. Sometimes making just a little twist of that tail might make the difference in catching a fish. And then you might have figured out the pattern for that area. Another black and blue juicy jig in a 1/4 ounce. Another 3/16 ounce little juicy in black and blue. I pretty much stick to 3 basic colors. I stick with black and blue, I stick with the green pumpkin, and then sometimes I use this Okeechobee, which is kind of a mix between the black and blue and the green pumpkin, just like these Okeechobee trailers are. So you might have to figure out what the fish wants, but this is a good transition or in-between color between these two different colors. Alright, so that's it for our soft plastics. Alright, next up we have, these are the 3/0 hammer hooks. Like I said, I wanted to try a lot of different new things. They make some hooks, let's try them out. Since they make them, figured I may as well give them a shot. And speaking of trying something new, well, this is definitely new. Anybody who's been watching my channel for a minute knows I love me some chatterbaits. Now I did a video for my favorite rod for the chatterbait, the St. Croix Rippin' Chatter, and I'll link that right up here. I love me some chatterbaits. In fact, the chatterbait helped me catch the winning fish in the last 30 minutes of my first ever fishing kayak tournament this last summer for Heroes on the Water. That being said, all the biggest fish I caught in that tournament were all on a jig. But jigs and chatterbaits, my two favorite things. So with all that said, how could I resist getting the latest collaboration between Catchco and the Googan Squad, the clickbait. The clickbait is an interesting spin on a bladed jig. It's got a big blade on the front. Kind of like you'd put a Colorado blade on a spinnerbait versus a willow leaf blade. Chatterbaits use smaller blades. This clickbait uses a huge blade up front. Displaces a lot of water. But it's an also unique and interesting design where they have the wire running down into the jig head. This one looks like they took their spinnerbait head and hook with the wire and ran it up and then put a big blade on the front. Really interesting concept and design. But we'll take a really in-depth look at this bait once it warms up a little bit and I get out on the water with it and give a true and honest opinion of it. But that being said, white is one of my favorite colors. Of course, you have to have a white and chartreuse for a little bit of stained water. And then I also got one in a bluegill pattern and a gold blade. That's pretty cool. Now, one thing I'll say about this big blade up front, I think this may be the first moving bait I start throwing at the beginning of the year when those bass are still a little more lethargic. In a time and place where I would throw a spinner bait with a big Colorado blade on it, this big bladed click bait just might be the key for early season bass fishing just as that water starts to warm up. And while I was at it, I had to go ahead and pick up one other bait that Catch Co makes under the brand of 10,000 Fish. It's one of these tickle tails, which I'll use as a trailer for these click baits and chatter baits. But I need to collect a lot more of these so that I can compare them with like the Yamamoto Zada and even the Saucy Swimmer, things like that. But again, we'll get into this in an individual review specifically on the clickbait as we get closer to spring. And last but not least is a nice calendar that ShopKarls threw in. We'll take a look at it and no. Let's go ahead and yeah, that's pretty much the effect that previous year had on all of us. So we'll stick with this and hopefully it gets better moving forward. Alright, that's my first unboxing video. If you like videos like this, or product reviews, or tips, tricks, and techniques, how-tos, how we use all this stuff, stay tuned. Yeah, it's wintertime here in southern Indiana, but as it warms up, we're going to have a lot of detailed videos in how and when and why we use a lot of these baits. I'm all about promoting bass fishing, and I'm all about giving away stuff to help encourage others to get out and get to fishing. If you haven't seen my Lunkers TV box video, hey, you can watch that up here. When you get done with that, go ahead and watch this video. Until next time, stay safe, God bless, get outside, and get to fishing. Unless, you know, it's cold and we just have to sit here and watch videos about fishing from everybody down south.